What to do when the ICE car you've been driving while waiting for your Model 3 breaks down. Next on Now You Know.
So I had been driving my 2004 Subaru Forester for a few years. It had a few issues, like I had to replace the transmission a couple of years ago, but until recently I thought I could make it until next year when my Model 3 arrives. Unfortunately, a whole slew of new problems cropped up, like a piston not firing properly, brake work needed, and a variety of leaks and issues that looked like I would need to drop at least a couple grand with no promise that it would be any more reliable after the work.
So what do I do?
I could throw more money into my dying car, and then most likely, even if it made it to the Model 3, I would have a worthless car in my hands. I could buy another used ICE car, but in my experience, a $5,000 used ICE car is just a bunch of problems waiting to happen. The same situation I'm in now.
So another thought occurred to me. What about a used electric car? My first thought was that I couldn't afford one, but after a little research, I found a slew of used Nissans on the market in the 10 grand range. Well, this is more than I wanted to spend initially. I have a good argument for buying one, and that's what I did. I found this 2013 Nissan Leaf S for about $9,000 at a local Nissan dealership. I took it for a test drive, did some Leaf research, and I want to share with you what I learned, because I think this might be a good option for many people.
The commute from my home to school is 9 miles, and the distance from my school to my job is 15 miles. And from my job back to my home is 19 miles. So on a typical weekday, I'm looking at a 41-mile round-trip commute.
The Leaf has an EPA-rated range of 100 miles, and from my research, I found that most people report a working range of around 70 to 85 miles, especially in the winter with cold battery temperatures and using heaters to keep themselves warm. I honestly wouldn't have even considered getting a Leaf if I hadn't driven a BMW i3. It's my grandmother's car, and she's nice enough to let me use it while she's in Florida for the winter. So I have a lot of experience driving it in New England winters. It's a great car, fun to drive. You should check out our video review of it, but here's my biggest drawback, in my opinion. It's the limited range. It only gets 70 miles in the winter. Now, this model has a gas range extender, which alleviates my range anxiety, but I hardly ever use it. And since I've learned that most of my driving falls into the sub 70 miles per day range, I'm now comfortable getting home with about 20 miles of range left in the battery. It opened my mind to the possibility of a fully electric car with a smaller range. So I'm super excited about my Model 3 reservation for all of the reasons that you probably are. 200 plus mile range, supercharger network, powerful, autonomous, safe, and zero emissions, not to mention the gas savings. But it doesn't exist yet, and I needed a workable solution. The Leaf fits my short-term needs for transportation with a couple added bonuses over ICE cars. Advantage number 1, resale value. The 2013 Nissan Leaf S had an MSRP of about $31,000, excluding the $7,500 tax credit. Having bought it today with just under 40,000 miles on it for $9,000, I'm likely to be able to resell it in about a year or so, only losing about $1,000 to $2,000 in value. Advantage number 2, gas savings. Charging largely at home and a bit of level 2 charging at my school, I estimate that even with these low gas prices today, that I would have spent $1,250 on a 26 mile per gallon ICE car over the course of a year. From what I've experienced so far, the Leaf gets 5 miles per kilowatt hour, and this matches data from other Leaf drivers. I would use 2,600 kilowatt hours at 14 cents a kilowatt hour, which is $364 of electricity in a year. That's a savings of $886. Advantage number 3, repairs. We all know that things go on an ICE car, whether it's the alternator or the timing belt or the exhaust system, and each of those things can easily set you back hundreds of dollars. On this Nissan Leaf, because it was certified pre-owned, I'm still driving under the 7-year 100,000 mile manufacturer's warranty. This means that I still have 3 years and 60,000 miles to go. This will easily get me to my Model 3 delivery, and plenty left to pass on to the next owner, which will help keep the resale value high. So here's a tip that even the Nissan dealerships I went to didn't seem to know about: the charger. I had stayed away from even looking at a Leaf initially because I thought it took 8 hours to charge. What I didn't know was that Nissan offers an optional upgraded 6.6 kilowatt charging speed and a DC fast charge CHAdeMO port, as you can see here. Not all Leafs have this, and most dealerships don't know anything about it. Having this upgrade means that I can charge at a level 2 charger at twice the speed as a standard Leaf, which means that I can fully charge from 0 in 4 hours. And if I use a CHAdeMO fast charger, I can charge from 0 to 80% in just half an hour. Being a Tesla snob, I hadn't heard much about CHAdeMO chargers until researching the Leaf. What I found surprised me. It turns out that there are quite a few CHAdeMO chargers around. In fact, I found one at a mall just down the street from where I work. Some are free, such as at Nissan dealerships, while others cost money depending on the network. But it changes the way you think about the car, kind of like how Tesla superchargers change the way you think about Teslas. Now, CHAdeMO outputs about half what a Tesla supercharger can, but the Leaf battery is about half the range of a Tesla, so you're getting about half the performance. This really only factors in if you're taking your Leaf on an extra long trip or if unexpected circumstances have come up, but it's nice to have the CHAdeMO available. So I want to be clear that this car was not built for long distance driving like a Tesla. So the dealership didn't know what CHAdeMO meant, and I want to show you how you can tell what to look for. Don't just open the charge port and think that you have fast charging if you see these two ports, because this DC fast charge port might just be a blank, and this level 2 port might just be 3 kilowatts. What you need to do is open up the hood and look for these wires. On a 2013 to 15 model year, if you see these two orange connectors, then you know you have DC fast charge. What's cool about the Leaf is that you can see on these 12 bars here the remaining battery capacity. So in my case, all 12 bars are lit up, which is a good sign. But if you go for a test drive, definitely check your bars to see what condition the battery is in. I also learned that if the Leaf is still under manufacturer warranty, then you may be able to get Nissan to replace the battery if it falls below 9 bars. So I've driven the Tesla Model S, the Tesla Model X, the BMW i3, and the Leaf is not as peppy. However, it's still a pretty good car. I mean, the interesting thing is, sure, the acceleration isn't that great, but if you want to accelerate, you can, right when you need to. So the Leaf is a front-wheel drive car, which means that it can handle pretty well in the snow. I would say especially compared to the i3, which is rear-wheel drive. So the 2013 Leaf Trim S, which is the lowest trim, has a drive and an eco mode. So basically these both make the car go forward. However, the drive is sort of a more peppier experience than the eco mode. The eco mode really takes your pedal input and sort of backs it off a little bit, so you get less acceleration for a given amount of pedal input until you get to the very end where it's sort of like emergency, I'm flooring the car, I need to get out of here situation, and then it'll give you all the power that you need. Now the reason for the eco mode is that it gives you a better range. Basically, the less acceleration you do, the more efficient it is. So having driven a Tesla Model X P90D, I am sort of spoiled when it comes to acceleration. I was sort of expecting the Leaf to act like a wimpy golf cart. But the interesting thing is, because you get the torque exactly when you want it, it feels pretty powerful. And the acceleration is really not that bad. So I'm driving right now, and if I want to, I can floor it, and I can add about 20 miles an hour of speed. It's pretty quick, especially in ranges around 20 to 40 miles an hour, which is, you know, your normal driving speeds. So having driven a Tesla and an i3, the fit and finish of the Leaf is not as luxurious. However, everything is really nice. Everything's pretty well laid out. So you can hear the electric motor in the Leaf. It's, I would say, a little bit louder than the i3 or the Tesla, but it doesn't sound rinky-dink or, you know, unbalanced or anything like that. I think it sounds great. One of the really interesting, maybe goofy things about the Leaf is this right here. It's your eco gauge. Basically, it grows a tree while you drive based on your driving style. The more efficiently you drive, the bigger the bar is here, and the faster you grow a tree. Now, why are you growing a tree? I think it has to do with sort of your carbon emissions and your offsets, and basically you're doing better for the environment. It is really goofy and something that I really laughed at when I first got the car, but after having driven it for a little bit, I kind of really like it. So another thing that electric cars are known for is regenerative braking. Basically, you take your foot off of the accelerator and the car begins to slow down. The Leaf, at least the 2013 S model Leaf, has a pretty weak regenerative braking. It feels a lot more like a coast than it does a brake. And when you put your foot on the brake, some of that brake action is actually regenerative braking. So it doesn't happen when you take your foot off the pedal, but rather when you start to press the pedal is when you get more of an aggressive regen. I don't think it's enough from what I'm used to. The i3, for example, you don't have to press the brake at all coming up to a stoplight. In the Leaf, I feel like you can't really coast. Another thing in the Leaf is that creep mode is activated. So in a normal automatic transmission car, if you take your foot off the brake, the car will begin to creep forward. And the Leaf has emulated this. So when I take my foot off the brake, I creep forward just a little bit. It might be nice if you're used to that. I personally don't like it at all. I like having control of when I want the car to move forward and when I don't, but I think it's probably a personal choice thing that's up to you. So, if you're signed up for the Model 3 and your current car dies or you just can't wait to go zero emissions, the Leaf could be an excellent interim option for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Now You Know. If you liked it, please hit the like button, and if you really liked it, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching Now You Know.